This is Quil90. I have a bit of a different video here. Um, Basically what we're going to do here is we're going to look at all the bases that I have had throughout my time playing on official servers on the island. I've been playing Ark since the day it came out on PS4. Like, I was one of the very first people to actually pick up the game on PS4 and start playing. Um, I've been watching videos for a long time before that, but like as soon as this hit on PS4, I was on it. So basically, what we're going to take a look at is we're going to take a look at my buildings that I have built in my time here on Ark. This spans, I don't know, like 2-3 years of time. Some of these bases I end up building over on Xbox. Some of these bases are on PS4. But all these were on official. I had rebuilt them here on single player because I quite enjoyed quite a few of them. I thought they were cool, and it was nice to keep them around even after they were gone, basically. I'll give you a little bit of backstory and insight to what was going on at the time, and hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully, you know, you like the way they look. I mean, they're not that great, but at the same time, it's a part of my Ark history, basically, that I want to preserve, and that I thought everybody might enjoy seeing how far I've come in the time that I've played Ark. So, here we go. So this right here was my very first base ever. As you can see, it is small, but I had basically everything I actually needed here. The only problem I would say is I started off in PvP, which, as you can see, is, well, this right here is spiked up to heck just because of the fact that it was PvP. The funny thing is, I actually lasted about a month and a half with this base before I actually let it just decay naturally. In that time, nobody actually raided me whatsoever, which I don't know how that's possible. Like, you could be looking at this like, oh, that's horrible for PvP. Like, you know, you're not exactly wrong, but at the same time, I started this base right the day of the launch on PS4. Again, for me, it was a mistake that I went to PvP, since after I started doing PvE, I found out that I liked that so much better. But anyway, I went to PvP and I built this base, and in the time that I was there, nobody bothered me whatsoever. Like, I go out and gather and all that, and then people get me then, but nobody even so much as tried to raid this base, which, you know, I can see why for like the early days, but a month in and nobody still bothered me. That's so crazy. As you can see, I got spikes all the way around it. I got 2 dino gates. Now, my reasoning for doing pillars here rather than fences was that I thought like a fence or any of that would be, I don't know, easier to get to break through. You know, that's early game me thinking. Which, you know, the pillars aren't bad, but nowadays I probably would have put a strip of fence in between each one. One thing I did really like, though, is below each crop plot I have these little bases here, like these little lookouts that I could go to, and I could sneak in, and I could hide and start shooting out from. That actually did come in handy a few times. But these crop plots all had plant species X in each one of them, which would be another reason why people really didn't want to mess with my base. Which, you know, looking at it too, like I had the perfect high ground. Like here, the coordinates for it are 80.9, 63.6, and here's the location on the map. You know, this is a perfect spot right here to defend. It's up on the mountain. It's kind of hard because there is only like a couple ways actually up here without like falling. And the plant species actually go, when they start shooting, they go really far down. They go like all the way down to here. So yeah, that would be pretty hard, because look how many plant species actually planters are up there. That'd be pretty hard to actually get up this way. I'm actually now realizing why nobody tried raiding me. But anyway, here's the outside. You might be wondering why I have so many irrigation pipes. The idea I had, and again, this is it was a brand new player at the time, was that if somebody tried taking out my pipes, they would have a hard time figuring out which one actually went to which, and if they took out one, there was still a whole network of them that actually could go still to the plant species. And everything here's, all the fences dual layered. You have a layer of wooden spikes, and then you have a layer of metal spikes in front of it. Everything is actually like legitly airtight. You know, despite the fact that it's just pillars and spikes, it's all airtight going across it. The weakest points are the gates, because you can get somewhat in between. This one not as much as the other one, but you can get somewhat in between on this side. But that's still dependent on you getting past the plant species. So let's take a look inside. The door is over here, and the idea behind this one is that you just have a whole bunch of little spaces. Over here we have the drop down to where I have my little my actual crop plot gardens. This right here was basically my idea, where I could grow like my vegetables and all that without having anybody really know that I was, so that they wouldn't try to destroy them. Worked out pretty good. I mean, it would work better if I had a greenhouse and all that, but you know, when you're trying to be sneaky, you know, it works. And then over here we have where the forge is, a bed, which by the way, beds in every single part of the little spots pretty much. You know, multiple beds all across here is the idea. And this right here is dead center of the entire base. And what I had in here was like all my valuable stuff, all the blueprints I had, my metal, basically anything that I thought had value stayed right here in this center of the base, like surrounded on all sides by walls and other things that I thought would better fortify this area. Through this door we have where the dino pen is. I did have a few dinos. This right here actually is pretty accurate to what I actually had there, combined with trikes over here. Pretty accurate. Not all these bases have almost, well, this is pretty much the only base really that has accurate dinos to what I actually had, so yeah, I didn't really have all that much in way of dinos when I was playing here, but it was kind of hard taming when everybody was gunning for you every time you go tame anything. But as you can see, again, everything's fortified by multiple layers of wall, and then I got chests surrounding the sides. Yet again, my reasoning for it was it'd be much harder for them to get inside if there was something layering. Nice little balcony over here that yet again it was nice having, because I could look out here with my spyglass and take some pop shots if anybody got a little too close. And let's see, more beds, of course. Go up one more floor, and we got and this is where I had all the compost heaps were for my fertilizer, which again I had a bunch of plant species and it took quite a bit of fertilizer to keep these up, which towards the end I actually had every single one of these making fertilizer like every day. Like, you know, I had like probably 50 or 60 fertilizer coming out of these things per day, which you know, it took a lot of dedication to do. But anyway, here's another little entryway to the dino pen, and if we go down this ladder over here, you'll see that yet again there's another layer to everything, which, as you can see, I filled storage chests along the outer perimeter here. My reasoning was storage chests were extra defense, and I did the same over on this side, trying to give extra defense on this wall. I don't think I ever actually used these for storage. I think they were more just strategically placed to give the people something else to go through if they ever tried. And then up in this spot we have our bird pen, which I can't remember if I actually had an RG or not. I know I had a Pteranodon, but I can't remember if I actually had an RG. I may have. It's been so long I can't remember. And then on the roof we have all of our water reservoirs, because we are on top of a mountain, and every time I tried running pipe it kept getting destroyed, so this seemed like a better version. And how we got the spikes up here is just putting some plank board along the top, and then you set the spikes right along the top of those little catwalk plank things. But yeah, that's the very first look inside that base, to which well, almost nobody got to see inside. If there's anybody that is watching that ever actually saw this base on PvP, well, you finally know what was inside. Quite a few years too late, but at least your curiosity would be solved. But yeah, that's my very first base in Ark. This was the first time I ever played. I learned quite a bit, and looking back at it, I see quite a few mistakes I made. But, you know, I think it was pretty good for never playing Ark before. I think that I had the right idea, basically. So this is the next base I actually had on the island. Quite a bit of time had passed since that very first base. A friend of mine got Ark over on the Xbox, so I actually switched over to Xbox for a time and spent most of my time on the center map. And then I decided I wanted to make a Scorch map, and I met with a guy that was like, hey, why don't we make a tribe over on the island? So yeah, that sounds like a pretty good idea. So pretty much all this was gathered, the resources for this was gathered over on Scorched Earth, and then we transferred it over here and made our base. But it looks pretty good. I will give credit to my friend for doing the design of this big building here and the outer walls. Of course, this is just a replica of what actually was there, but the idea nonetheless was his for this design. I did do quite a few things on here, like I did this little pin over here that one of our tribe mates put his Troodons and Dilos and small creatures like that in. I thought it was pretty cool. I also did this little house right over here, mainly just because I was bored and I thought it would be cool to have a house with individual rooms in it. That little building right over there in the distance, that started off as a breeding room, but it pretty much just turned up into small dino storage like sheep and all that we don't use readily. And those little bitty dino gates right over there, I forget what those were used for, but if I had to make a guess, I would say it was probably for raising frogs. And then all these storage chests here on the beach, the reasoning for that was because my friend actually did quite a bit of trades. He sold wyverns from Scorched over here to people that didn't have Scorched, and whenever somebody bought one, they'd come over here, enter a pin code that he gave them, and put all the ingot or whatever else he was trading for in that, and get the dragon. So let's take a look inside this giant base here. I actually really do love the design. This is very simple but very effective. Has pretty much everything you need in it. Over here, this was my idea for where the dung beetles and all that go. This actually became where everybody would log off. They'd actually just pass out here because nobody could actually take their bodies out without them like basically nobody could drag them out of this area here, so they felt like it was the safest place to log off was inside the bug pit. And over here is where basically all the best stuff that he didn't want touched went. So me and one other person had an admin ship that we could go in here and we could store our eggs and our precious metals and all that. It was pretty cool. And then you go into the main room here. As you can see, it is very, very big. You can actually fit, like, I think it was 2 Branos and a couple Gigas in here at a time. They'd have to be neatly put, but still. We got some vaults over here, and some fridges here for basic eggs that weren't like that great. And then up here, you got the hatching area. And you got just random stuff like the grinder and the chem bench, and there initially was a spiral staircase right here, but we didn't really need it after I built the spiral ramp case over there, so we just covered that up and put some more troughs here, because what we do is we put babies on each trough there and there, and then over here, and separate it so they didn't eat off all of one trough at once. It worked pretty good. Little cubby right here as you come in the door. Then you go up the ramp. Spiral ramp case, as I dubbed it. Which again, there was a spiral staircase here. It was so horrible. Everybody kept getting stuck when they come down. They come down too fast, and then they like land in the corner right here and just get stuck. It was horrible. But over here we had like the shoulder mounts and everything. We had actually like a lot of shoulder mounts at the time, and this was on the legacy server. So what was it, like 200 dinos or something like that tame limit? So we did a lot with that 200 dino tame limit. And then a little door over here, you can look out. see if somebody's coming to pay for one of the trades that they did. Continue all the way up, and this is where the egg layers went. One of the really cool ideas that he actually implemented with this was that you have the elevator right here to take all the dinos right up to the egg laying spot, which I thought was a really cool idea. Pretty well implemented as well. Then you go up this way and you hit the flyer deck. As you can see, you can have quite a bit in this area here. There's actually quite a bit more. Again, I don't know how we did so much with a 200 dino tame limit. Like, it was crazy the amount of dinos we had here. Then on the roof is where the forge was, and quite a few other things. Like, we had the fridges and the cooker and the grill here, so that you can make all the kibble just right here, right next to the garden. It was pretty good idea. And then over this way we have just like some random stuff like the fabricator and all that, in case you wanted to make something like right away and you didn't feel like having to go all the way down to the bottom. And then of course we had the Quetzes up here, and we had some dragons up here. But yeah, that's that part. And then this little area here, I can't remember. I think we eventually tore this down because we thought of something better. But this right here is what was the building that was here for the longest time, basically. So I decided to put this instead because this was here for so long. Again, it started off as like a breeding room. I did help work on this little part of the deck here. I thought this was pretty cool because you could like just sit out here, look off at the sea. This part here was already built before I came over to the server, along with that part there was already built. I did the gathering to help get to this part, but yeah, these two are already built. And this is pretty much how it was when I came. Like, there's a bunch of thatch walls and all that from where they'd placed it so they could breed, and taking it down, place it and took it down and all that. So it was pretty sketchy how it looked in here with all the different pieces, kind of like this. Again, eventually we ended up just putting like sheep in here. I can't remember why we chose to put sheep in here, but yeah, sheep pretty much just ended up being in this area. It's actually kind of funny. And then finally onto the house that I did. We had like 7 or 8 different people in this tribe. So I decided that we needed a house for everybody. So I didn't actually decorate on here, but on the actual server we were on, I had this fully decorated. Each room, like over here was a bathroom, over here was a meeting room, and then each one of these rooms here was decorated to how the person wanted them decorated. And they had pictures up that they were able to, like the paintings that they painted different things on. They had each room had a name tag above it saying whose it was, and has an attic up over here. One of our tribe mates, my friend, actually chose the attic. He's like, yep, this is my place right here. It was pretty funny. So his room was up in the attic. Most of the attic was just storage as well, so it was kind of funny. My room was over here. It was pretty nice. I had it all decked out and everything, and like I said, each person decorated their own room, and it was pretty cool. And then over here you have another wraparound porch on the second floor. This house was completely useless basically, but it was just fun to have. It was fun to have a house that everybody had everything decorated the way they wanted in their rooms and everything like that. It was just a really fun place to have. Useless but fun. And then as you can see, with the dinos that I have spawned in here, this is a pretty big base. Like, there's a lot of room here, which, you know, we had so many dinos here, which is actually going to show for the next base that I show you. The reason why that base exists is because we had so many dinos in this base. So yeah, but like this entire thing was full. Like, it's a huge base here, but we had so many dinos in this area here. Like, I don't know how we had as many as we did. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I think I remember why we had as many as we did. We had several different tribe members that had second accounts that had their second tribe inside this tribe with max dino count. So I think that, if I remember correctly, that's how we actually did it. So we only had like 200 dino count, but there was like 2 or 3 different people that had second tribes with the dinos in it here that had like the overflow dinos. So we had like 600 dino count at by the end of it. I think that's how it actually worked out, that we had so many, because there literally was not any space inside this base that didn't have a dino on it. Like, it was crazy. Like, there was so many dinos, the lag was insane. Like, you're fine when you got inside, but getting to it, oh my god, yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, that is this base right here. And I totally forgot to say this, but the coordinates are 46.0, 88.3, and here we are on the map. So yeah, very good base, a lot of good memories, fun times. So this is the next base I would like to show you. This one is directly after the one I just showed you. And the reason why this one came about is because we had so many dinos in the other base that we basically needed to have another tribe that was actually active rather than just a second account that had overflow dinos. We had so many primary dinos that we needed a second tribe, so I made another base just down the road from where that one was. And this is it. Before I forget, coordinates are 49.9, 80.4, and here we are on the map. As you can see, we're still just right down the base, or down the swamp way from where we were here. I built this giant ramp here because, again, I wanted to be able to get straight over there without having to go through the trees or anything like that. I actually was pretty proud of this wall at the time, making it where it was quite a few layers. Now, with that very first base I showed you, this is the idea I should have actually done for the wall, having the pillars and the walls and all that combined. If I had been more experienced, I would have done it this way, and as you see, I did do it this way, and I still like it to this day. I think it's a very good design for exterior wall. It looks pretty bulky and very defensible. But we have a nice big area here, which the funny thing is, this right here was actually slammed between 2 different big buildings. We had a building over on this side that I don't know what was going on. Like, the person would let their timers get down to like a day and then redo it, reset their timers every time for like, I don't know, 6 months they did that. Like, they just about think that you just about think they'd be gone, and then boom, they'd be right back. So that's basically why I chose the spot here, because I thought I was going to have that spot over there as well. it never ended up happening. And then over on that side I had a big base, which I wasn't really that concerned about because again, I thought I was going to have that, but that never happened. But anyway, here's the main base structure. As you can see, I kind of took a few cues from the one that's over there, because again, I thought that was a really nice base design. I did things a little bit differently because I had a few different ideas on how I wanted to do things. I think it turned out pretty nice, and like I said, this right here is my idea of basically how he did his base. Like, this is my version of it. And over here, we got this for the other doorway to go out this way. You might be asking why I have the behemoth gate on a ramp area. Basically, my idea for this was that I wanted it to be harder for random dinos to get up while I was coming out the door. And I noticed that if you have things on ramps and all that, they don't really tend to charge at you as you have your door open. So I put this little area here to make it where they wouldn't try to come at me right as I was coming out the door. It worked actually pretty good. Plus, underneath it, we got some dino storage. And then if you go up through this way, you got a nice little patio over here, which actually turned out really nice. Like, I really like this idea. Plus, the building actually clips into the wall. The wall and the building are separate. As you can see, the wall goes all the way around, and the building is separate from it, but it clips in so nicely. Makes a nice little rampway here. Just a really nice spot in general. Now, I didn't start with this big building right off the bat. What I had to do is I pillared the place, built this little spot right here, and then I worked on the fence. And once I got the fence, then I started work on that. Which, by the way, rock golem's amazing. All this right here was built because I had a rock golem. Again, not exactly this, because this is a recreation of it, but it's the same idea. Right here, as soon as you get in, we have like the main workshop area. It has everything you need. I was actually surprised how quickly I was able to get everything gathered, but you know, when you have dinos coming into making a base, you get stuff done really quick. And then over here's my little bug pit. Another part that worked out really well. And then this is my version of what the breeding pen should have been. You got the little tiny stuff like the dodos that go in here. You got the bigger stuff like bears and thylos and all that go in here. And then you got the brontos and gigas and all that and rexes that go in this spot right here. And then through this door, speaking of rexes, this is where I kept all my boss rexes for the boss summonings and all that. I had quite a few more than this. This was my prized breeders that I had in this area, and then I had the ones I actually was taking to boss battles outside. I had, oh man, at least 20 or 30 ones that had unique colors that had like really great stats that I kept in there. And then, let's see, I need to close this door. Then up this ladder, over here is where I kept my vultures. Now, I had so many vultures. I had like maybe 30 or 40 of them, like at one time at a certain point. Like, I was going crazy breeding vultures, trying to get mutations. Eventually I did get a mutation, but I forget it. I don't think it was very impressive. I think it was just like a small color mutation. But anyway, that's where I kept them. And then over here, some more fridges. Up here is just some random dino storage. I kept my smaller dinos like my dodos and so on, compies and all that over here in this area. Pretty decent use of space. Then over here's where the babies went once they hatched. Over here's where I kept my bees. I actually really like this room like a lot, because if you've ever played and you had bees before, you'd know you have to keep them on the ground. So what I did is I basically just built a little area around the bees that still was basically inside, so I could have them inside and still be able to get to them. I was pretty proud of that when I thought of it. And up here is where the air conditioners for hatching eggs and all that goes. And then you follow this up, and we got dino storage. I have 2 floors of this. I had some raptors here. I got some nice mutes on this this single player that I'm playing, but the ones I had actually on the legit server were really cool. I had Scion with red bellies that were really pretty ones. I had a couple others, but those were my favorites. And then again, another floor for dinos. I don't think we actually had a unicorn, but I saw that while I was playing on here, and I was like, okay, I'll grab that, because why not? And then up again, and we're on the flyer deck. I did have quite a few tapajars that I enjoyed. In fact, I think tapajars were probably my favorite when I was here. I had a few pteranodons and a few RGs, but tapajars were my main go-to bird at the time. Then over here we had the Quet's Landing and the dragon spot. And then you go back over here, and it goes up to this area, this is pretty much where I kept the dragons. I had the Quetzes down there, but the dragons mainly just were up here because I only had like 3 or 4 of them, I think it was. And then in here's where the forge is, and yeah, some of the smaller versions of it, and a chest or 2 in here. Nothing too fancy, but it was nice having this built around it, because if you played, you know, people can turn it on and off and then on again and waste your gas and all that. So I got tired of that from the other base and built a little box around it. And then on top of here was my garden. It's not quite as big as the other one's garden was, but it has everything I need, and if I ever needed anything extra, the other base was right down the way. I could just go over and grab some of that. But yeah, that's this base right here. I actually really do enjoy this one's design. I took quite a few cues from the other base, and I added personal touches to them that I really think, in my opinion, really looked nice. And I don't know, there's just something about this base that I always really enjoyed. It's not the biggest, and like I say, I was smashed in between 2 different bases, but I just really enjoyed the layout of this place. I thought it was really cool. So this is the next base I wanted to show you. This one is directly after that base. Now you might be asking yourself, how'd you go from that base over there to this base here? Well, I had a bit of a falling out with a friend of mine on Xbox, so we decided that we needed a little bit of time apart for a while. So I still really wanted to play, so I went over to PlayStation. Eventually me and my friend, we got everything worked out and back to being good and everything like that, but for a while there, we were on different terms, but everything's all good now. We eventually went back to Xbox and started playing there, but in the meantime, this is what I had over on PlayStation. Now, the location for this is 55.9, 79.1, and here it is on the map. You might be asking yourself, why is it only half done? Well, there's a really good reason for this. This was the last legacy server I ever played on. And the new servers were like a few days away from actually launching, along with the rag map, which is actually where I went to directly after here. I got this much of it done, which I'm not sure how I did, because people were duping like crazy. They were shutting the server down like every 20 minutes, almost like clockwork. It was insane. So after about, I want to say, a week of dealing with people just duplicating, shutting the server down, I finally said I had enough of it, and I was like, hey, anybody new to the server? Well, yeah, they're like, oh yeah, I'm new. And I was like, okay, well, you just got yourself a new base. So I brought them into the tribe, and it's like, okay, it's all yours, and left. So yeah, this wasn't that great of a base. Like, it was a good base in a decent location, but it wasn't that great of an experience while I was here, basically. But I did build a bridge over here, so I had an easier time getting to Green Knob, which the bridge I thought turned out really nice. Made it where I didn't have to get into the leeches and all that. And I built this little surrounding area here, which is a great spot. The reason why I went to this spot in particular is because when I was building that other base, I gathered stone in here, so I knew that this was a good spot for resources. So whenever I went to build this one, I was like, okay, I know the perfect spot, and it just so happened the server that I went to had this spot open. So let's take a look in it. Let's start off by saying that this little hut right here, the only reason why I have it is because snakes and all that kept spawning in this area, so I got tired of it and built this little hut. There's no real point in going inside because it's a plank hut. This really just was meant to keep things from spawning in. Going inside over here, it has a decent layout. Like, the layout on it, pretty nice. I never got very far on it because, again, people kept shutting the server down. I don't know why people do this, but you know what? If they want cheat to win, that's their prerogative. But we had everything we needed. We had water, we had beds, smithy, forges, chests, everything in this little command center part there. Then up over here is where I was going to put my air conditioners in this area. Then you could have just walked the babies right down to that spot. Over here I had a few Sarcos lined up like I do here. It was crazy how many Sarcos I actually was able to tame in a short amount of time. I had like, I don't know, 6 or 7 of them. And then over here, which is a really cool idea, I thought, was having like a little basement area. You go over here, and it actually was big enough that you could fit trikes in like I have here. And as you probably well know, trikes actually have a really hard time fitting through small spots because their head horns and all that, like their hip boxes are crazy wide. So that right there shows how big this area is that they were able to fit down here. But yeah, you had quite a few things you could fit down here. It was really nice. If the people I gave this base to actually watch this, let me know how it turned out, if you actually stuck with it and finished up, and how it all worked out for you. If you stumble across this video and you recognize the base, like, hey, I remember that base, that's the one that that guy gave me. Well, hey, that's that guy. Let me know how it turned out. But yeah, this is this base. There's not a whole lot to say about it. I deem this my unfinished base. yeah, there's just not a whole lot to say about it. Like, I was here maybe 2 weeks with this one. I didn't have a whole lot of time to really do much of anything due to the server kept getting lag switched off, and yeah, just not a whole lot to say about it. So this is the next base that I had on the island. Quite a bit of time had passed since the other base. Roughly over a year. I had done a couple of RAG servers in the meantime, but me and my friend eventually started hanging out again, and we both started wanting to play Ark again. So we're like, okay, you know what? Let's go and start doing Ark. So he picked the server, and we started building this base. It was actually a really nice base. The only problem is this right here is a spot where Titanosaurs spawn. So yeah, we had Titanosaurs here all the time, which is why you see the extra railing above the dinosaur gates. Yeah, that was my attempt of trying to keep them out, which it worked for the most part, but every so often you'd still get a stubborn one. This base location is 74.2 and 85.2. Here's it on the map, directly across from Herbivore Island over there. So yeah, when we first started, this over here was our very first little building. We had a little spot for dinos, and nice little spot in here. And then you go over here, you got the fabricator and the generator. You go up here, chests, some forges. Come around here, nice little walk around balcony here. And you go up this here, you have a nice little lookout point right here. And we also had a garden attached to it. Overall, this is this little building here. We shoved a lot of purpose into this place. Like, we had basically everything we needed self-contained in here. But eventually, we started getting too many dinos, so that's where this comes in. Boathouse slash dino spot. Over here we had ramps going over this way where we could park the boats, and it doubled for dinos. Once we built that big base over that big building over there, this became pretty much just for the egg layers, like these and whatever other egg layers we had at the time. But yeah, it's a pretty nice little building. I think it turned out pretty nice looking. Here's a little view of it from above. One thing that I really liked about this is that all the catwalk part here, where the boundary was for the Titanosaurs, all kind of connected together. I did have an idea how to connect this over to that, but we ended up making another base before that got implemented. But eventually this would connect it to that, and as you can see, this right here goes all the way around to the next part of the base. And the cool thing is you can actually get into this building and that building from the the little catwalk, the little thingy there. This right here is our forge room. Had a forge in here and some storage and all that. Nice way right here to get over onto that area. Nice little platform here. Now, my friend's like, oh, well, we'll never use this roof here to bring the Yankees down and all that, I didn't exactly intend this roof to be to bring the Yankees and all that down once we gather metal. I mainly just did this just because I thought that it looked cool. Like, that's pretty much my main reasoning. Like, granted, you probably could store some stuff up there, but I pretty much just did it because I thought it was cool. I always had the idea that it would just be bringing the Yankees and all that in straight through the front door, but yeah. I pretty much just did it because it's cool. And he's like, oh, well, we're not going to be bringing them through there. And it's like, yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay that we're not going to be doing that. I didn't plan on it in the first place, so yeah, I was definitely okay with it whenever it didn't work out that way. But over here's the storage room. Now, this originally started as a birdhouse for our flyers, but we ended up getting so many flyers that didn't work, so I retrofitted it into a storage room facility. As you can see, quite a bit of storage in this area. Up here is where the birds would actually come in. Nice little perch spot here. You can land, open the door, close the door. Not too bad. My initial thought for this part, this building though, was I could actually have it go across and be on this rock. I worked, oh man, probably a whole like a day and a half trying to get that building to come over to this rock. This rock, it's so frustrating. It's like hollow. There's nothing that is actually clipped to anything. This rock, for the most part, does not exist. It's the most frustrating thing ever. Like, I can put stuff over here, but nothing can be placed on this rock. It's so frustrating. But yeah, like a day and a half spent trying to get that to connect to that. Didn't work. Over here, this spot mainly came about because I kept getting stuff stuck in this little void between the fences. So I made this little platform, and it's like, oh, you know what? Why don't we just put the stegos here, which we actually had like 6 or 7 stegos. So it's like, let's just put the stegos here, and we'll put them there, and it worked out pretty nice to have that as a little stego spot. Which we only have 1 right there, but on the actual server we had like 6 or 7. Then on to the big base. We built this because we were getting decent amount of dinos. Like, we did not need this much space for the amount of dinos that we had, but we were thinking more towards the future, basically. Which, again, we ended up moving because of the Titanosaur, but had we not moved, we would have definitely needed this. We got the cryo fridges here, some regular fridges, vaults, spot to hatch the eggs with. Nice big area here. This is kind of reminiscent of that other base that I showed you that my other friend had made, that I was talking about, that we decided to make that one earlier. Now over here we got the crafting room, basically, with pretty much everything you need. Go up this spot here. You get to this area, which it looks all blank, but you turn around and this is where the beds are. It was actually pretty nice having the beds right here. Just it was kind of like out of the way, and it was a nice spot to log off. Just pop on a bed and be like, alright, I'm off. It worked out pretty nicely. And then over on this end, it's basically just the same as the other, which my friend, he's actually the one that suggested, like, why don't we do big, medium, and small doors and put them in a row like that, which actually looks really cool, having them lined up like that. I'm glad we decided to go with that layout there. Then we got a really long ramp here, which is actually just ceiling that I did to make it nice and smooth to get up to this spot right here. As you see, it's pretty big because, again, a trike can go up over here. My friend is obsessed with raptors, so we had quite a few raptors in this area. And then you go over on this side. And yes, we actually did have some moss chomps here. I forget how many, but I think it was like 3 or 4 of them. Then we had some just random dinos spread across here. Again, not enough to actually warrant the space that we have, but at the time we felt like we had a bunch. Then you come over here and you can actually get on the spot over here. Again, both this building and that building connect to the ramp, or the little catwalk area here to keep the Titanosaurs out. Then you come up around here, and this is where the flyers go. We had, oh man, I can't remember, we had like 9 or 10 different birds here at the time. Not enough to warrant the space that we have, but more than we could have fed over in that little birdhouse over there. So it was basically built, this building was basically built for the idea that we were going to continue expanding here and getting more dinos and all that. And like I say, we end up moving to a different location on this exact same server, which that's going to be the base I show you next. That was actually the last base that we had on the server to this point. But you go over here, and the reason why I have this ramp right here is because I don't know if it was spawning or what, but a Titanosaur kept getting stuck right in this area. Like, it would just get stuck like almost daily. So I put this ramp here, and actually the ramp helped. It would get stuck, walk over the ramp, be gone. This ramp actually did come in handy quite a bit. And it was actually kind of funny because there's quite a few people that actually spawned in to our base. My friend's like, well, you know, if they just walk around a little bit, they would see that you have a ramp there that they could have jumped out. I don't know why they DC'd and got all pissy about spawning in your base. It's like I know, all they had to do is just look around a little bit and they would have found the way out, which is pretty funny. But the reason for the shaping of this right here, it's a little bit of an odd shape. I think it's kind of cool, but again, it's a little bit of an odd shape. The reason for it is because there was this giant tribe that had like this entire cliff all the way down to the swamp area. And it's like, okay, well, there's a giant tribe, that's no problem. But the thing of it is they were doing exactly like what was with the other base, where they let their timers get down to like almost like a day, and then they get on and reset them. And I later found out the reason why they weren't ever on is because they were trying to sell their base for legitimate money. Like, they were asking like 30 or 40 bucks for their base, and it's like, nobody's gonna be paying you for like real money for something that's in game. Like, and if you do, literally, you don't need to do that. Come on, just do some work. Like, I've heard people pay real money for that, but come on, like, you know, you're better than that. You don't have to do that. But yeah, that's the reason why this base has got the shape it is, because they just kept resetting their timers and refused to leave the server without getting paid real money for it. But yeah, that's this base in a nutshell. Pretty good base, minus the Titans. But our next base is much better. So this base came about because the other base had Titans. This on the exact same server as the other base was, and like pretty much all the dinos from that base went here, and then we got a whole bunch more. Like, we got the Gigas, like we had 3 Gigas, which I actually have spawned in here. We had, I don't know, like 30 Rexes here. It was crazy. But the overall base is pretty nice. As you can see, we went to the icy region right here. No Titanosaurs spawning in this spot. Location 4 is 27.4, 17.6, and here it is on the map. We actually owned, because we pillared off the area here because nobody was around like whatsoever except for one of the people on the server, which I actually ended up becoming friends with, was over on that iceberg there, but they weren't anywhere else. So, but we pillared off all this area right over here and over here so that we wouldn't have anybody encroaching on our territory, basically making it where we got trapped. But yeah, it was a really good spot right here. I love the natural location of it, like the formation, the little rampway there. It was really cool. We also actually have artifact right over there, and so yeah, this is the spot. The previous owners, they didn't make it. Yeah, but this right here is the base. This one we actually didn't have all that long ago. It was actually probably just about a month or two ago that we decided to take a break from Ark. So this base was in action up to about a month ago. This is, let's see, it's like, I don't know, the 28th of July or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the date is, but yeah, around the 28th of July 2019. So about a month before this base was up in action over on Xbox. So let's head on in. When you first come in, you see we got the flyers right up here along this area. We got the mammoths and rhinos there. We got the egg spot right here. I got the fridges, cryo fridges over here. We have some regular forges here because I always say it's smart to have some regular forges in case you run out of gas for the big industrial forge. We got some vaults, got fabricator, grinder, some more vaults, industrial cooker, industrial grill, a little smithy there. Over here's where the bed area is. Then you come up over here. This is where the shoulder mount stuff goes. And up here, of course, you got the raptor spot, which we had quite a few raptors. We actually ended up getting some aberrant raptors because we went over to aberration for a while. And we had some tech raptors and just a whole bunch of them. And then over here we got where the dung beetles go, and we had our gotchas over in this spot here. We had quite a few different little dinos here. We had like some event color trikes and some event color stegos there, and Calcatherium and a sloth over in that spot. We had the event turtles that we had right here, and some event, was this Dimetrodons right here. Then you go up over here. We had some colorful aloes over here. We had some event color direwolves here and some event color Ankies over here. We had Joker and red, white, and blue Volanosaurs here, and some just random dinos over there. Some random dinos along that spot. First time we ever did anything involving tech was on this map. We finally got a tech replicator, so this is the first map that we ever actually did like doing the boss battles and then going through and actually building the tech stuff, because we done a few boss battles before, but we never actually built anything once we did the boss battles. So this right here is actually the first time either of us had actually built any of the tech stuff. And like I said, we had a bunch of arches. We had so many different arches with different colors, and then we had a bunch of different colored owls up here, and over here you got where the generator is. And the reason why this is like this is because the patch that made it where you can do the little triangle piece had just come out not that long before this, and I really wanted to use it for something, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make a angled ramp or angled staircase right here and have it go up here so we can look down from this spot, make a little vantage point, look in the area. It might seem a little silly, but I actually thought it was pretty cool. And then if you stand in the right spot, it looks like you got Z. You got it like that, that, and that. Again, might be silly, but I thought it was cool at the time. I still kind of think it's cool, to be honest. And then you go over here, and you got the forge, and you got the chem bench. Come around over here. This is where the garden was. Now, initially, this roof wasn't here, and this is where we just fly right here and take the Anki and all that to do the middle. Which, oh my God, there's so much metal along blew off. Oh my God. Like literally, this vault right here, we had like 9K-ing off of like 4 trips on 2X, just from this place right here, with me and him both on 2 different Ankis going with doing the metal runs. It was like 4 trips, and we had like 9K-ing right there in that vault. It was crazy. But we had the Dodix up here, we had the Ankis up here, the garden, and it's actually kind of funny. I actually got a bit of a story with having so much ink on hand. Like we never were running out of ink. We always had it on hand. So we'd always be like, hey, anybody got this? Anybody got that? And they'd be like, oh, I was like, yeah, I got it. And it's like, how much time do you need? And it's like, I'm good. I got it right now. And they're like, wait, what? So yeah, I'm good. I'll pick up right now. I'm like, are you sure? And it's like, yeah, I'm sure we got it. Like nobody expected us. Every time we do trade, like they should have started expecting that we'd have it. But we didn't have Quetzals up here, but this is actually the spot I built for the Quetzals because we had like 4 eggs that we never ended up hatching. But this is the spot that was going to be for the Quetzals once we hatched the eggs. So never actually got around to doing it, but the Quetzals would have been up here had we actually hatched them. But yeah, like you'd think people would actually have been like, oh yeah, these guys, you know, they're good for it, you know, get ready as soon as they start asking for it, get ready. But every time we'd be like, hey, yeah, you got this, and they'd be like, yeah, we got it, and it's like, okay, I'll be right over there. Wait, really? It's like, yeah, we got the ink. We're good. Just give us the stuff. But I digress. But yeah, this is probably my favorite base location of all the bases I've done on any server. There's just so many resources. Like we were just so rich with resources here. We had oil, we had ingot, we had pearls, we had pretty much anything and everything you could have ever wanted in this location. Like a lot of people say how hard it is to survive in the colder area, and to the extent they are right, but like the risk is worth the reward. Like this place is just absolutely, this was like the greatest thing ever for us. Like if and when, which is more likely when, we end up actually like getting back into Ark, most likely we're gonna try to get close to this area, because this area is so rich in all the resources. We would be crazy not to try to get somewhere as close to this. Like this is just like the best base location. Like I've dealt with bases across the map, as you can see, and of every base that I've had across this map that you've seen so far, this is the one that I would most recommend. Like, this is just, it's got everything you possibly need. Like, there's so much metal and crystal and everything, like right up there, just right from here to there. It is absolutely insane. But yeah, this is definitely my favorite base location. I wish we didn't get burnt out on Ark quite so quickly while we're doing this playthrough with this one, because I would have loved to seen this grow even more. But like I say, you know, I got these stored on my single player over here on PlayStation. They're saved for pretty much all, as long as I want to keep the save going. You know, like, these are basically archived, and they're kind of like, I don't know, like pieces of my past on Ark, basically. Like, I wanted to keep the memories fresh, and I wanted to keep them because I had a lot of good times in all these different bases, minus the one that had the people doing the lag switch every 20 minutes. Literally, people just play the game. But other than that, I had a lot of good times on this. There's quite a few other bases that I did on other maps in between all these, which I might get around to talking about and showing sometime if everybody actually wants to see. Like, if everybody liked this and everybody wants to see some of the other bases I did on the other maps, I'll do a video like this one for, I don't know, maybe Sinner or maybe Rag. I never had a extinction base, so I wouldn't be able to do that. But I had one base that was super huge over on Aberration that I did, and I had, I don't know, 3 or 4 different bases over on Ragnarok. So, and then I had quite a few over on Sinner. So there's some more videos that can be made if everybody wants to see more. But yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed this, and taking a brief look at my Ark history and seeing how far I've come from that first little base to this. I've definitely come quite a bit further, and going from nothing to having gigas, that's a pretty big jump, although it took a few years, but still. I think I definitely greatly improved in my building style. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Have a great day, night, whatever time it may be. Later.